Happy Friday, Seahawks fans. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us here on Seahawks Today. Thanks for ending your week and starting your weekend with us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to catch you up to speed with the Seahawks Combine meetings. Who are they talking to? Who has management met with so far to this point? We will track them and break down the players one by one coming up in just a few moments from right now. Before we do, over this next week, we are going to be in a sub-battle with the 49ers report. You guys know we're getting very close to 35,000 subscribers on the channel. This week and next, we're going to track who can gain the most subscribers. So far, Niners off to a bit of a head start. They're beating us a bit, 250 to 108. So let's prove who the better fan base is, who owns the NFC West. Show some love and subscribe to the channel for the latest happenings on your favorite team. We're counting down to the draft, trades, free agency, and more. Combine, all of that's covered right here on the channel. Subscribe now for free for daily Seattle Seahawks content, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. So here's where we're at so far at this point in time. The Seahawks are evaluating what to do with all the picks that they have, and they've met with certain players, and I'll be honest, they've probably met with more people than what we'll talk about even on this show. This is just information that has come out that's been released of what we know so far at this point in time. We'll continue to track that as we get more information, but we know of 5 names in particular. Let's start off with Daiyan Henley, the linebacker from Washington State. And Henley, a really good football player, and, of course, a guy that you guys, Washington State fans, know so well of what he was able to do this past season in his 1 year with the Cougs. Transferred in from Nevada and went from going to a mid-major conference in the Mountain West to a Power 5 conference in the Pac-12, and really just sparked it up this past year as a first-team All-Pac-12 performer. And just a tackling machine. We know the Seahawks have a need at the linebacker position, and Henley could be just the guy they're looking for. Coming off a season where he had 106 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 interception. A really good year for Henley this past year, and it's really good to see that the Seahawks are talking to him about potentially picking him up. So we'll see where that goes, but discussions have gone on with Henley. It seems so far at this point there in Indianapolis. A few more players to get to here in just a bit. Before we do, should the Seahawks draft Henley? Let us know in the comment section if you would like to see him make the move from Pullman to Seattle. Tell me in the comment section. It is our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Type Y for yes. Type in for no if you want to see the Seahawks draft Henley or not. That's Y for yes, in for no. Tell me what you think if you'd like to see him with the Seahawks or not. Next up is Kelee Ringo, and Ringo might be the most notable player on this list of guys that we are talking about that have had those discussions with the Seahawks so far to this point. And Ringo's draft stock has been kind of all over the place. I've seen him as low as 3rd round and as high as mid-first round. I think if you're Seattle, you're looking at Kelee Ringo probably for that second first round pick, or if he were able to slip to the second round to one of your other 2 picks potentially there is the position that Seattle is looking at for Kelee Ringo. That he's not going to be a guy by any means they look at for that top 5 pick that they have. Kelee Ringo, terrific football player, was a second-team All-SEC performer in 2022. It comes from a good pedigree of players with the Georgia Bulldogs, as he was a 2-time national champion. And what I wonder with these Georgia players, and something that's been kind of talked about among NFL experts and in the college football community as well, is when these guys step up and go to the next level. Remember, Georgia the past 2 seasons has been just so loaded with defensive talent, historically good players on those Georgia teams. You wonder if, because of how good they are collectively, if they can even stand out, maybe even more so in the NFL when they get away from having great players at every single position, if they can put on a name for themselves when they go on to the National Football League. be interesting to see what Kelee Ringo brings if he was kind of overshadowed maybe by some of the great players that were already on that Georgia defense. So something to think about there. But Kelee Ringo, we know the Seahawks are looking at that secondary spots, in particular where Jamal Adams has had of finding potential another option. Also at the corner spots, we know that Tariq Woolen's got one spot locked up, and Kobe Bryant you'd like to see slide into an outside corner role, but even then, if that's the case, you still have a need at the nickel back. So we'll see if Kelee Ringo could be that guy for the Seahawks. Next up, we will stay not too far away. We'll head down to Boise, Idaho, and that's where we find J.L. Skinner. And J.L. Skinner, another guy that is just a heck of an athlete, folks. He played 38 games in 4 seasons on the blue turf, and he was an all Mountain West performer this past year, first-team guy, and the numbers were pretty dang good for J.L. Skinner as well. 62 tackles, 4 passes defended, and 4 interceptions. And I know that there's going to be some people that wonder, hey, that's a big jump going from the Mountain West to the National Football League. But I got to tell you, talent is talent. This guy can play in everything that we've seen so far when it comes to what's on tape and the measurables and everything like that show that J.L. Skinner has what it takes to play at this next level. I'm pretty confident. I feel pretty good about J.L. Skinner as far as I'm concerned. Between these two defensive backs, if you had to pick one, which guy would you rather have? Would you rather go with Kelee Ringo or would you rather go with J.L. Skinner? Let me know in the comment section. Type KR for Kelee Ringo. Type JL for J.L. Skinner. Let me know which guy you'd rather see in a Seahawks uniform in 2023. KR for Kelee Ringo, JL for J.L. Skinner. We are offering some great deals for Seahawk fans. Hoodies. Look, it's the month of March, but it can still be cold out sometimes. Maybe not quite warm enough for that T-shirt, but you don't necessarily want to wear the heavy coat either. Well, we got you covered with these Seahawk hoodies, and they are up to 50% off, both men's and women's options, and available in all shapes and sizes and different color schemes to fit whatever you're feeling to represent your favorite team, your Seattle Seahawks. We have these hoodies for you, and they're only available for a limited time at this discount savings of up to 50% off. It's a great deal now. Why don't you go ahead and stop whatever you're doing and head over to chatsports.com /Seahawks hoodie to get yours today. That's chatsports.com /Seahawks hoodie for hoodies up to 50% off. Get yours today. Let's stay on defense, as that's been the theme so far today. That's where we find Mike Morris, the edge rusher for the Michigan Wolverines. Edge and also that linebacker position. Be interesting to see where he will fall in line at the next level. And he was spectacular this year. A second-team All-American and a first-team All-Big Ten performer. And we've seen him be pretty reliable, playing in 33 games in the last 3 seasons. And you look at the statistics of what Mike Morris put together this past year was outstanding. 23 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. This is a guy that I'm telling you, folks, is a very, very intriguing option when it comes to being a pass rusher. Of looking at pass rushing guys, this one is very, very interesting of what Mike Morris brings to the table. He'll be somebody to watch as well, and could be an under-the-radar kind of sneaky good find potentially. One last player as we wrap up here, another defensive player, as we're talking all defense today. That is Julius Brents, the cornerback from K-State. Now, he is getting a lot of love at the Combine of how he's performed in these skills events at the Combine, right? How he measures up. And you don't have to go very far. Go look up the highlights. We can't show them here, but I know Tom Downey's tweeted out some highlights and some different things. Go look and see what Julius Brents has done, because it's pretty impressive so far. Started his career with the Iowa Hawkeyes, then transferred to the Kansas State Wildcats in 2021. Played in 34 games in 4 years. And I was shocked that Julius Brents was not an all-conference performer in the Big 12 this past year with what he was able to do. 4 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 4 passes defended, had 45 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss. I think he was another guy that kind of just floated under the radar of some sorts. As more teams get to know Julius Brents and see him in these workouts and look at his resume and everything, I think they're going to be pretty impressed with what he brings to the table with that. So let me ask you here real quick. Name a player the Seahawks should draft. Tell me in the comments section. We've talked about several guys today that they are talking to, that they've had these discussions with. Whether it's one of these guys we've talked about or somebody else, who comes to mind? Let us know who you think the Seahawks should draft here in the 2023 draft coming up next month. You can interact with me on social media, Twitter and Instagram, at Tyler Jones Live. I'm headed to Vegas tonight. Give me some recommendations. What do I need to do in Sin City? I'm going to be sinning. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. Thanks for joining us.